Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, November 4th, election day, risk off day is what it looks like. Look at this thing, just absolutely tanking overnight. And it's not really anything headline-wise I can see. It's just like based on, I think Palantir reported earnings, but it was actually a risk-off mode after yesterday. And then basically the whole thing is starting to come down. So that's what it feels like. Every tech, AI stock is risk off day. What it feels like. But I can't find any real headline with causing it more than just a profit taken and risk off kind of stuff. It could be something else which is going to show up, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. And you can see this already last night. I was watching this going into before I went to bed, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of tanking pretty good. And you can tell when it's the overnight doesn't usually behave like that. It's like, yeah, this we'll see how it looks in the morning. And it looked a lot worse than I thought. We were down here at the trading lower here, heading to the lows. When I kind of looked at it last, and they just knocked it all the way down here to the 67.80. You can see it's kind of funny too because I remember yesterday I was talking about exactly this reverse retest of this 6800 area. And I did not expect this at all. I thought we were going to be sitting here range bound building value, but no. Out of the blue here, we have a risk off overnight, right back here, reverse retesting support. They ran it a little bit lower down to that three-letter edge at the 68,785s, and then we traded up from there. But that's kind of where we are. And if you risk off overnight, you had to start from the short side and see how far they're going to take this. So chances are we may see further weakness or further attempts to test these support areas in the day session. And then we'll see how bad it's going to get, how much risk off we're going to get. I mean, so far, these risk off days has been bought. So we'll see how this guy is going to fare. But that's kind of where we are. Risk off. Risk off Tuesday, election day. The government shutdown could be part of it as well. If we have news coming out, it's going to be at 8:30 international trade and factory orders and job openings at 10. That's the thing we have on the schedule. Not sure which ones are going to be coming out. It seems to be a mixed bag. Yesterday was a 2 out of 3 came out, so we'll see. But around 10, we have the news at least to pay attention to if it comes out. I would think that risk off is going to be probably the bigger concern today. I would look for a potential retracement trade above that 68.20s. So if they start retracing past this 68.20 level, I would look for a retracement for reverse retest of 68.40 or 50 here. So that's one potential long trade in this. Otherwise, I would look to sell strength against the 68.20s. 68.40s, 68.50s. So looking for short setups, but this retracement trade could certainly develop. And that would be an early morning strength kind of play. So if we see that early morning strength and then weakness in the afternoon, that's just a pretty bad sign that we may see more weakness this week. But so far, risk off days has been bought. We'll see if this happens or if we're going to get a few days of risk off before the buying kicks in. We had a few pretty good days of movement to the upside. I mean, we had, as we should know, we had this rollover, this whole thing to the upside. We had some of the big tech stocks really making some nice moves to the upside, and right now they're all getting knocked on their head. So starting off, looking to sell strength, 68.10 to 12 would be aggressive. 68.20 would be the one to potentially look for. Above that one, we look for retracement trade. It could be a long trade in there for running it up here to 68.40. That would be on the only early morning long trade I'm going to be looking for. If they start retracing, still looking for shorts against the 40s and 50s for rotations back down. So that's how we get started. Looking to buy weakness at the 6800 and 6785s. Rotations back up again. This is a reverse retest, but I am still not comfortable that this is done. They're going to be down here retesting this in the day session. Maybe even running it lower. Now, if they do run it lower, the next attractor we have on the downside, if you look at capital flow, it's going to be down here at this area, the 6700. That's going to be your next big attractor if they run below, take out this 67, 75 to 85 support area. So it could be another 100 points on the downside. But this is a move out of the middle to the downside. We are in a risk-off day, and you should trade it from the short side to get started. All right. If you trade it overnight, there is definitely moves in overnight worth taking. I think it's but I can't stay up and do it. Otherwise, I won't get up in the morning. So looking at the bonds and the Nasdaq. Bond market is not reacting, not a flight to safety mood at all. It hasn't retraced to the upside in any hard way. So bond market is not looking at risk off just yet. Doesn't mean they won't, but so far it looks to me like the bond market is kind of yawning at this whole thing. That if the bond market starts trading lower, so stays low like this, and I would be more hopeful that this little dip is going to get bought. If the bond market starts trading higher, like a risk-off kind of mode, and the rotation into bonds and safety, I would be more concerned about this move going a little bit further. But starting off range bound, I would still favor the short side, at least to get started. But I mean, given that we have a risk-off day, I'm going to be very, very much looking for a potential flight to safety trade. I would be taking out this 1716 and start retracing to the upside. Hence, if they take out the 16th, I'm probably going to be looking for a long trade and see how far they can take it. The two shorts would be 1716 and 1720 early on, and as I said, given that it's a risk-off day, you had to take that with a grain of salt, and then look for potential. Be mindful that they could potentially run through it if rotation happens into the bond market. Now, looking at the buying against the 1708, 1702, 1630 with a bit of caution, since we had been slowly grinding to the downside. So I would favor the short side to get started, but just be very mindful about that potential risk off kind of trade rotation into bonds. See if that's going to happen or not. Nasdaq is absolutely taking it on the chin. As I said yesterday as well, I was looking at this gap is going to be close at one point, but maybe not today, maybe not currently or anytime soon. But look at that, the very next day we are right down here. Isn't that? I may think I jinxed it by saying that yesterday. So I'm thinking that we're going to see gap closure, probably the test of that 25, 550, 500, maybe even lower, maybe a reverse retest of the 25, 300. Not surprise me. Get this whole area retraced. We will see. But I will start off on the short side. Same story there on the 25, 790 to 800. If that if that the resistance area comes out, looking for a retracement trade up to the 885 and the 25 940s for rotations for potential short setup. So initially looking for getting short against strength. So the first one would be the 790 800 here. If that comes out, I would look for that long trade, retracement trade, and see if they can take it up here to 840, 880, or 940s. Above that 940, I'll probably start thinking more, okay, fine, we are in a bargain hunt mode, and this is getting bought now. But I would look for short setup against these levels. The only long trade I would look for is that early on, if they start taking out this 790 to 800 resistance area. On the way down, looking to buy against that 730 and the 650 with a lot of caution, and we are in the move out of the middle to the downside. Risk off kind of day, you had to be as careful stepping in front of this train. But getting short against early strength is kind of the ticket, and then we'll see if it's. We had to just be mindful when this if there's going to be dip buying kicking in or not. That would be happening probably towards the afternoon if it happens. That's what I will think. If it doesn't, we may be in for a few days of pain here, but we'll see. That's why it's kind of interesting, though. You watch this grind to the upside. How they struggle on the upside to get a little bit of headway, and then you have with risk off day, and they can knock it all the way down. Like like 2 weeks of gains and it gets knocked down in a day, but then they retrace pretty quick if they get bought. So that's where we are. So both ES and NASDAQ traded from the short side, bond market, range bound, keeping a slight bias to the downside, but be mindful about that risk off kind of a rotation to the upside if they start buying bonds here. Finally, oil and gold. Gold not doing much. So let's start off range bound on gold there, trading around 4,000. Same exact level as last yesterday. Looking to buy against 39.9. Well, 34,000 would be aggressive, but 39.94, 985s, 72s for rotations back up. They're going to sell 4,010s, 30s, 39s, up to the 48, 49s here for rotations down. So yes, range bound trading on gold. Watch that level here on the 39.70. If that comes out, I would be looking for a short move to the downside, a continuation move. And above that, 4,048, 49s, I would look for a move to the upside. But that's kind of the range we are trading in. So fade the edges back to the mean on gold to get started. And then finally, oil to the downside, drifting a little bit lower. All right. But not really moving a whole lot. As you can see, they're just kind of drifting in a range here. So looking at capital flow on, let me see, I can't find my capital flow on this guy. Where's my oil? There it is. So oil pretty much staying in this range. And watch this lower edge, the 59.50 to 60. That comes out. We're getting down here right now against these lower supporters. But if this nice ledge comes out at the 59.50 to 75s here, we could see a nice move to the downside. So watch that level. We are right down to it. And that could potentially set us off to the downside and move to the downside on oil. But right now, I'm just range bound on oil. Looking to buy against that area 50 at 60, 59, 60s for rotations back up. I'm going to sell strength 60.50, 61, 61.30 for rotations back down again. And that's kind of where we are. So that's kind of where we are on the oil. So range bound oil, trade oil, gold range bound. I'm probably going to be staying on the sidelines on those today. As watching the ES and NASDAQ should be plentiful of action. So back to the ES and let's see how this all shakes out. See how bad it's going to get at the open. Alrighty, guys, we leave it there, and I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. So good trading, and we'll see you guys back then.